Hi everyone. Thank you for joining our panel about all things Politecnico di Milano. My name is Elizabeth. I'm a first-year geography student at the London School of Economics, and I'm also a Millie panel moderator. And I'm super excited to be moderating today's panel. For those of you who are tuning into Millie for the first time, Millie is a company dedicated to building a global community for international students. And to that end, we host these panels and webinars every weekend. And if you're interested in our future events, you can follow us on Instagram at millie_group for updates. So a quick outline of how today's panel is going to look. We have some questions pre-prepared, which are going to be answered by the panelists. And then after that, we'll open it to any viewers for questions sent throughout the panel. So today we have 4 really amazing panelists, and I can't wait to hear from them, and I hope you're just as excited. So we'll just get started. So quick introduction from each panelist. Could you please tell us your name, the city you're currently in and are from, your job and where you work, and one fun fact about yourself. Antonio, can we please start with you?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Antonio Mazzitelli. I'm a student of chemical engineering at Politecnico di Milano, which is one of the best universities in my city, which is Milano, and also Europe. Apart from university, I'm involved in very nice and interesting projects, which you can tell me, maybe you can ask some question about during the Q&A session. And also, I like playing sports and also traveling in the nature and bird watching. During my last trip, I was in, and we decided to go bird watching with my friends. One fun fact about this is that after this long journey, we were about to reach the main spot on the island, and at a certain point, I lost my friends, and so I had to come back to the hotel. So I didn't see any interesting bird, but my friends did. So that's it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to see you here and be a part of this webinar. I am Aleksandra Rinska. I'm from Warsaw, Poland, currently studying in Milan on Politecnico di Milano. The course is architectural design, and I'm getting closer to finish. Despite of that, I work as a tutor, the mathematics tutor, and also a mentor for those who are interested in applying to Politecnico di Milano. Usually this is for Poland, but now I'm excited to share my experience, sorry for my voice, with everybody. Despite of that, I'm a musician. If I wasn't an architect, I would definitely choose the career path to become a musician. Yep, so I will be excited to hear from you, to hear your questions, and to be a part of it today.
Hello, everyone. I am Antonio Composto. I am a student of a double major in medicine and biomedical engineering, which is held in Politecnico di Milano for the bioengineering side, whereas Humanitas University, the medical degree. I live in Milan, but I'm actually from another part of the country, the southernmost region, which is Sicily. It's a very beautiful place in the coastal area near the islands, so it's fantastic. That I'm currently as a 5th-year student, so I am split in between lectures and hospital wards. Yes, one interesting fact about me, despite I was born in the close to the coast and the sea, actually I'm a big fan of mountains, and I'm enjoying my years of study here because I often go skiing and hiking in the Alps, which is something I really love.
Hi, my name is Berfin, and I'm studying architecture in Politecnico di Milano. And I'm actually from Turkey, Ankara, the capital of Turkey. And fun fact about me, I love traveling, and I think Milan is one of like the best cities to be like in the center, and the school is amazing. So I think Milan is a really good option for studying and living the university life, like experiencing it.
Great, thanks guys. Nice introduction. Okay, so we'll get into the questions now. Obviously regarding your education, because this panel is about Politecnico di Milano. So a nice and easy question to start. What did you major in during your final year or years of high school? Antonio, please.
Yes, in Italy we have a very special educational system. I was part of the Liceo Classico program, which is based on ancient Greek and Latin literature. So I studied ancient Greek and Latin literature mostly, and also Italian literature, modern. So my background was pretty based on liberal arts, if we can say, and a little bit also of scientific subjects such as mathematics and science.
My program in high school was made of extended mathematics, physics, and computer science. Although I decided to take the finals only from mathematics, English, Polish, and history of art, because at the end of high school I decided I'm gonna probably major in architecture, and I found these areas the most useful and the most important for my future university career. So yeah, the whole program took 3 years of high school, with like from the start to the very end, with the extended level of mathematics, physics, and computer science. And then in Poland, there's only your choice whether you're gonna choose those subjects for your finals, because you're gonna be, of course, the best prepared in this regard, or if you want to choose something else, of course you can, but that's required preparation on your own. So I chose this path with like my own responsibility.
So I also attended an Italian high school, a traditional high school in scientific studies. So actually, we don't get to choose in the final year, but we have to choose in between middle school and high school. So I chose a scientific course for my studies. And yeah, so I had the chance to indeed delve into more mathematics, biology, and all the scientific subjects that would be necessary for my undergraduate studies.
And for me in Turkey, we chose it from the beginning of the high school. It was the same. And we also actually had international bachelor program like IB, but I didn't pursue it. And I continued my national high school diploma. And our fundamentals was mostly based on mathematics and science. So we were seeing like sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics. And actually, at first, I was planning to study chemical engineering. I always like love chemistry because we also didn't have any high school program that was based on art. It was like mostly on mathematics. But then I decided to move with architecture.
Great. It's really great to hear that you guys like came from kind of like different paths. Like Antonio, you said that you did like a arts-based route and then now you're doing chemical engineering, and like Alexandra, you said that you did like computer science and stuff, but now you're doing like architecture. So it's really nice to see that contrast. Okay, so next question. Do you think high school prepared you for university? And if no, what was lacking? Antonio, please.
Honestly, I think that yes, my high school prepared me sufficiently well for university. Even if my background, when I joined university, was based on humanities, I didn't find it difficult to adapt because my high school gave me the instrument to study with a very good method. So I just had to change the subject, but in general, it was not it was not that difficult to switch from school to the university. Even if, of course, in mathematics and science, I was a little bit lacking of some knowledge. But in general, I would say yes, my high school prepared me really well to the university.
I would say as well, like Antonio mentioned, my high school also prepared me very well because it was one of the best high schools in my country. And also my program, it was an IB though, but it was bilingual. So some of the classes were also taught in English. So that's why maybe the switch from studying Polish to studying English wasn't that hard for me. Quite efficient level of English was also provided, and even if I ended to focus on my own to prepare for history of art or maybe for some other subjects covered by the entry exam here. I need to do it on my own. But on the other hand, now during the university, let's say I had the course in maths, I had a course in physics, and also I'm turning right now like from this classical architectural path to maybe connecting a little bit architecture with IT, and that's why the background in computer science was also useful a little bit. So I would say yes, that was very nice background, let's say, for me to start. I needed to do some work on my own, but also like the high school prepared me quite well to start here.
So I chose a scientific high school, so I was kind of eased in the process to get to my engineering part of my studies. So I think I was well prepared for all the concerns, mathematical sides and the scientific, like natural sciences. One important fact is that when you start in your bachelor in Politecnico, usually you start from the very basics. So people from different backgrounds, regardless whether you attended a scientific high school or a classical one, you really just need to get the mentality to really delve into the subjects. So I would say that I was well prepared, but at the same time, all my professors in Polytechnico made sure that I could start off very well.
For me, I would say both yes and no, because like in Turkey, we have this one exam day that if you want to enter a university, there is this exam that happens only once a year, one time. And for example, if you're sick, you can get into university, something like that. It's really serious. So in high school, they prepare you for that exam and they are very strict about it. So I would say yes, as in English and background. Like, for example, we learned derivatives, integrals, so many university contents already in high school. So it was great. And English was amazing. But as in career choice, I would say no, because they didn't gave us any perspective on what we should focus on, what's our passions. They didn't let us choose something that we love, I would say. They were just more focused on the exam. So both yes and no for me.
Great. Really nice to hear that most of your high schools prepared you pretty well. So how did you guys decide what you wanted to like study or major in university? Antonio?
Actually, the first month I was a little bit I was not sure about my choice because it is very easy for me to be interested in something. So first in the first moment I liked I liked I don't know, law, then medicine, but then at a certain point I trusted my father. He suggested me to join these courses because I had humanity background, so it was a very nice idea to study also the other part of the knowledge, so the scientific part. So he suggested me to join an engineering course. Then I decided chemical engineering, but it was not very easy, as he said, due to the fact that everything I study, I like it. Okay, so yeah, that's it.
I really struggled when it came to choosing the major at university because I was never one of these guys who had the clear idea about what they want to do. I'm also like very much changing in my interests. Like I can be interested in actually anything when I'm encouraged to do so. But I thought that maybe architecture would be the most suitable choice for someone who is, on one hand, educated in a kind of STEM subjects, so maths, physics, computer science, and I was also keen on art. So that was the best combination for me to try myself in like both ways and to see what's going to happen next. And yeah, I think this is not the end for me. I'm not stopping only on architecture. I'm always trying to maybe connect it with something else, and I'm open to everything. For example, masters. I'll see where can I go with the background I have so far.
So I also had very broad interests in my high school, more scientific than classical ones, to be honest. But at the same time, it was hard for me to choose between an engineering course and a medical one, because I really liked mathematics, physics, the idea of designing and projects. But at the same time, I also enjoyed the idea of healthcare and caring, I was passionate about the brain, and so I had mixed interests. And I was lucky enough that during my year graduation, there was this new course that was being released, which is this double major in medicine and biomedical engineering. So I think I was very, very lucky to kind of, I had this catch that could somehow fulfill all my passions, and so I went for it. And after 5 years, I'm 100% satisfied.
For me, it was a bit hard at first. Like in high school, I was loving chemistry, so I wanted to continue with chemical engineering. But then, like after thinking of it, um, I sat down to myself, and because all of my parents, my like people around me were telling different things. For example, my dad tried to convince me into law. My mom tried to convince me to medicine, and I was like all had this like cloud of confusion. And then I said to myself, I was like, okay, there is this like studying part, but what am I going to do after graduation? It's not only about studying in the university. So what's the opportunities after I graduate from chemical engineering? Like what field am I going to work in? How is the work life going to be? So I decided to continue with architecture because actually that's what I wanted, but I was confused with the people around me. So I always loved to like design things, doing DIY stuff and painting. And everyone was like, okay, you can study something else, but you can also continue your artistic stuff as a hobby. But I wanted to convert my passion, the thing that I love, into my career. I didn't want to continue as a hobby. So I chose that. And like, for example, I studied in Turkey first. I studied 3 years there. And like listening to my passions, I took the exam in Polyme and changed my university, everything. So I just wanted to follow my passion. That's why I chose architecture too.
Great, thanks guys. Really nice to hear all like your decision-making process. So continuing along the lines of like how did you decide or why? Why did you decide to attend Politecnico di Milano specifically? And maybe you had other choices as well. You can talk about that. So yeah, let's start with Antonio, please.
I have chosen Politecnico di Milano because it is one of the best universities in Europe for engineering, and also in the world. At Politecnico, you have lots of opportunities. There is a lot of research, very important research projects. The quality of the lectures is very high. Professors are available to I don't know to assist you if you need something, and also it is very close to my house, so I had no problem at all to join the Politecnico di Milano, and that's it.
When I was in high school, I would never ever guess that few years after I'm gonna study at Politecnico di Milano in Italy. That was like something that I didn't even imagine at the time. Because my main goal was to get to the UK. I had some universities that I was interested in. I was applying to UCL, I was applying to Architectural Association, to Edinburgh, to Glasgow, to Reading, and many others. Some private, some public, but due to like health reasons, I needed to have a gap year after the graduation of high school. And after my gap year, the Brexit happened, and applying to the UK, even for the EU students, wasn't as easy as before. That's why I needed to quickly change my mind and like find the alternative. And as I was keen on good universities in the ranking, I was looking for something maybe equally good, maybe similar to what I could have got in the UK. So that's why I was looking for rankings, looking at the European Union where I can live easily and just move there and have this abroad experience, because I knew that I wanted to have the abroad experience, so that I want to pride myself. And that's why I found Politecnico di Milano, which was recommended, which was, I knew that the level is going to be high here, and a lot of opportunities become handy, and I don't regret. After all, I don't regret. That's a good experience and a good, how to say, alternative that I found.
So I actually had because course was like totally new to me. I was planning to go to a traditional medical school at first. I had a couple of ideas where to go, usually in this area, so between Milan, Pavia, which is a city near near here. But then, I mean, the reason why I trusted so much this new proposal, even though there were no previous students before us, so it was kind of a bet at the time, was because indeed I really trusted Politecnico because of its reputation, not only in the educational side, but also the research. Everything really looks so high quality. The teaching, the professors, the kind of professional environment was kind of again, like it was really like something I could trust at the time. And so I decided this course over the others, not only because it was new and it was combining two majors, but also because of the quality that I knew I could have found. And right now I can say that it's really as I expected, or even better.
For me, I would say it was a bit of a complicated process because first I got into university in Turkey. I was studying architecture again, and the school was great for Turkey. Like it was one of the best schools in Turkey to study architecture. And it's 4 years bachelor's in Turkey, and I studied 3 years. And after like the economical problems in Turkey, they started to like fire some professors, some staff, which were international and amazing tutors. And after that, we were left with new graduates that were giving us design studios. And after there was this COVID process, and I applied to Erasmus, and actually Polimi was one of the Erasmus exchange program university. But then I was like, okay, I don't want to do Erasmus. I want to change my whole path because Polimi was a great option. It was like one of the best universities in the world. It's in the like top 10 for architecture. And I was very convinced. So I took the exam like in summer, and I like talked with the school, and they were amazing, like international staff. And they told me that they can validate my courses. So they validated most of my courses. And I started last year, and this summer I'm finishing it. So it was a very short period, and like for me, I have the chance to compare both like countries, the universities, and the education system. And I could say that here it's amazing, this professors and the quality. I'm very glad with the decision I made, I could say.
Great. Good to hear such positive things from you guys. Okay, I think this next question is something I can relate to because I'm a first year, so this is quite fresh for me. But what were the requirements for getting into like your university? And like maybe if you're comfortable, you could share what you got. Also what exam you took, because I know like the exam may be different. Like some of you guys might have done IB, some may have done A level or something different. So yeah, what were the requirements and what you got and all that. Antonio?
Oh yeah, there's a test you have to pass, of course. This test is provided by Politecnico. So you can also get some questions in a Politecnico book that is sold at Politecnico. This test is based on mathematics, logic, I don't know how to call it, and also Italian, because the test is in Italian. I got 81 at this test, over 100. This score is enough to get into all bachelor courses, I think. But also with a lower score you can get in. Also, if you take the test when you are fourth year of the high school, which in Italy is not the last one because we have 5 years, you can just score if you score more than 60, which is the minimum score, you can get in. So it's not very difficult at the bachelor level to get in. Even if at the master's it might be, because at the master's level they ask you also the GPA and the CV, so they might the requirements are higher with respect to the bachelor. But at the bachelor it's not so difficult to get in.
Actually, the applying process to Politecnico di Milano was kind of surprise for me because after applying to the UK and to Poland, I was used to like a long procedure, including writing personal statement, doing the portfolio, preparing all the stuff around. And I was very surprised when it turned out that to Poland, sorry, not to Poland, to Politecnico di Milano, Polini, it was only about the test, the ARCET test, which if you're interested in more information, you can find it on the Polini website, like how to prepare for the test, what it consists of, the 5 parts, testing more like the high school knowledge, the general knowledge, rather than architectural knowledge. So there's also the option for those who have no experience in architecture yet, who you just need to have a basic experience in maths, in history of art, history of the world. What may be surprising also the history of Italy, just a little bit, just a little parts about like maybe the current history of Italy, which was a bit surprising for me since I didn't have the big background in terms of history of Italy, since I was learning history of Poland and maybe the Europe basically in my high school. So after this test, which was the only element that we needed to pass in order to get to the course, I didn't have high expectations because at the same time I got the offers from universities in Warsaw, in Krakow, in my country. So I just gave myself a chance and wrote this test, just not expecting much. I knew that if I don't get in, I would just stay in my country. But I did it the same way. The same test is also for Torino. So if you would be interested also in Politecnico di Torino, there's a very similar procedure of the test, right? And that's the only requirement. And like there are like 3 lists of people who get in. As far as I remember, I don't remember the dates. I don't want to lie here, but the first dates were like a week after the test. The list of like the first 50 people with the highest score. And when I realized I found myself in this list, I knew that it's a sign to just give myself a chance and try.
Okay, so for me, I had to take an admission test which combined both, which is in a way similar to what Antonio did, but with some other questions related to biology, logics, which also included like English text comprehension and so on. So basically, it's not the typical test that you do to attend a biomedical engineering traditional course in Politecnico, but it was a mixture between some of those questions and questions that were coming from the medical test in Humanitas University. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's so much different than the others. So if you are, I had to study for the engineering side on the same, I think, resources that Antonio was mentioning that you can either download or buy officially from Politecnico. If you're interested also in the medical aspect of this course, so you would attend the same exact test I did, you could also basically prepare through the international medical test, the IMAT and or BMAT. It's very similar. So that's the only requirement that you're asked, just to pass the admission test, and that's it.
For us, like addition to what Alexandra said before, we have this exam of 100 minutes, and it consists of 50 questions, which is online. Maybe if it's still online. It's multiple questions, and you have 5 sections. It's reading comprehension, logical reasoning, which is like abstract questions that you answer with, like you solve with logical reasoning, and general knowledge, which was surprising to me. It was like, for example, one of our questions was a law that has been changed in America the year we got in. So it's like current questions that are happening in the world, and mathematics and physics. And then there's the drawing, like architectural stuff, art movements, sometimes like painting, sometimes buildings, sometimes architects. So it was this 50 questions. And then when you pass this exam, and I think I got like almost 45, 46, which is calculated out of 50, and it was more than enough to enter it. So you don't have to answer so many questions because it's in the list that they put you in. And then you have to take the OFA exam. Like you can give IELTS. You have to show your English, that your English is enough, but you can do that while you start studying. So you don't need to do it before, and that's it.
Great, thanks guys. Thank you for sharing like the whole test process, and like you guys are so good. You guys got such good scores. I think you should be really proud about that. Okay, next question is, how are your courses structured? And I know this will be different because you guys all do different courses. So yeah, just give a very brief outline of like how your courses are structured. Antonio, please.
Yeah, the academic year is split into 2 semesters. Each semesters have 2 parts. The first part is the part in which you follow lectures. So, and it lasts around 4 months. Then the other part is the part in which you take the exams, and you have at least 2 attempts. So you can try the exam twice at least for each session. The study plan is actually flexible, so you can move the exams from one semester to another in most of the cases. So it's from that point of view, it's quite flexible. And the courses for engineering stuff are based on 2 parts usually, the practical one and the theoretical one. So the professor gives lecture about the theoretical part, and then there are some tutors that help you in solving numerically the problem. So the tutors you get in the practical part of the course. And that's it.
So for us in architecture, the basic structure is very similar to what Antonio described. We have the parts where you follow classes, lectures, and seminars, and then you have the exam session with 2 takes for each exam. I would say that the core of our program are the studios, especially the design studio. The first year you have the whole year of one design studio. On the second year you also have the whole year. In the third year it's a little bit different because you have the design studio on the first semester, while on the second semester you have the final planning kind of workshop, which is a little bit maybe, I don't want to say easier, but a little bit different. And along with the main subject, you have different subjects, which are, I would say, categorized into groups. You either have different studios. Studios are the type of subjects where you practice. It's like actually, I like comparing this to actual practice in the architectural office. You do the project, which is followed with your tutors, with the professor who is the head of the studio. You work in a group. That's also the very relevant part of studying architecture here. The amount of group work, which is like where you learn how to interact with the others, how to organize your work, how to look from maybe different perspective, which is very interesting in my opinion. So we have the studio subjects, for example, along with the main design studio where you learn how to plan, how to design. You have other studios, for example, like urban planning studio, building technology studio, or interior design, heritage preservation, depending on like in which area you are the most interested in. Some of them you can choose. Some of them are mandatory. Some of them you can choose depending on your fields of interest. And despite the studios, we have also, of course, like theoretical subjects, for example, the introductory calculus in the first year, the fundamentals of representation, like drawing, the histories of architecture, modern and ancient. Some of them are electives. You can choose from different range, such as starting from photography on a different part of the spectrum. There's definitely, I don't know, parametric architecture, mathematics for parametric architecture. So there's everything for everybody. And one of the parts that I like the most is that you can choose some of them. Some of them are mandatory, of course, to give you the best base for being an architect, but the others depend on you. Just like having a great choice.
Okay, for me, so the course is in 6 years. So the first 3 years are preclinical. The other 3 years instead are more clinical, like typical medical schools. In the preclinical years, most of our engineering studies is concentrated. So we take one semester in one university, which is Politecnico, and the other semester in the other one, which is Humanitas. So typically, the classes can have different kind of styles. They can be frontal, so the professor explains the whole lectures through slides or like Blackboard typical style. Some other times we may be asked to do flipped classrooms, so there we may be assigned topics to basically explain other visitors. Or we can have either different kind of project works, which typically are research-based topics or problems that we have to solve in groups. And some other times we have laboratory visits, both in engineering and in medicine. So this is basically how the classes work. And on the other side, being a double major, you also need to do some traineeship, which could be considered like courses. Traineeship both in engineering and medicine. In medicine, as typical hospital wards, where you basically need to attend for a given amount of hours. You have to shadow doctors and to learn the practice. And from engineering, you are invited to, for example, visit to companies and join some kind of events that will somehow project you into the work environment. So yes, this is basically how the courses are.
For me, what I can add, other than what Alexandra said, is, which was also surprising to me, different from Turkey, that here in design studios, we can change the sections that we want. So the professors and the projects that we want, which was like, we were back in my old university, there was this only one project. For example, it's a multi-use complex in a city. There are different professors and different sections, but they are all doing the same project. But here you can choose which project you want. For example, in now our studio, one of us is doing and more of an urban project in Madrid, and like our studio is doing more of an archive storage complex in Parma, and we can choose whatever we want in the sections, and which shapes our portfolio, which shapes what we want to pursue in the major. And I think it's very useful that you can choose what you want to show in your portfolio. Yeah, and you go to site visits to see those cities, and I think it's really fun to engage with that area.
Great, thanks guys. Really nice to hear like the diversity and how your courses are structured. So now a bit more of a fun question-ish. What clubs/societies are available to join within your university, and which are you a part of, Antonio?
Sorry, I didn't hear you for a moment. Can you repeat, please, the question?
Yeah, so what clubs or societies are available for you to join, like, or extracurricular activities, and which are you a part of?
Okay. Actually, there are several clubs you can join. In Italy, we call them student associations, and each course have a group of students that are involved in activities apart from academics. Um, in particular, I'm part of a student association that is called Enactus Polimi, which is part of the Enactus network. This network has some chapters in different universities all around the world, and basically the main point of our association is to uh, carry out entrepreneurial projects that are able to generate some impact both socially and environmentally all around the world. We actually have a project in Ghana, but if you have some questions, maybe you can ask something in the Q&A session. In general, if you want to join student club, it is very easy, and it is also a very good experience because Politecnico gives a lot of funds to students associations. There are some guys that are sending I don't know that are currently in a sports car. They have a sports car Grand Prix from universities, and there are a lot of sponsors like KTM, Brembo, Ferrari, and so on. So if you want to join clubs, it's very easy, and it's also very nice at Politecnico. That's it.
From my experience as an international student, it was at the very beginning, I don't want to say discouraged because it's a kind of negative word, but due to my personal excuses, I didn't feel very, how to say, comfortable with my Italian yet when I started here. So that's why maybe I wasn't very open to starting being active in the communities and these student activities, even if a lot of them are open even to international students. That's why I'm not, let's say, the constant member of any of those, but from time to time attend events organized by different associations. For example, there's Polyphonia, which is for musicians. That's very interesting. They organize concerts. I have friends who sing in a choir, who play the instruments in the school orchestra, and they have multiple options. For example, I'm keen on the music production, and I know there is a classes organized by them for those who are interested in these topics. So you can, for example, extend your knowledge with this society. There's also a student council, which is I have international students, even one friend who is Polish, and she works normally in a student council. So this is very open to everybody, not only Italians. This is there's the association for space engineering. I'm not sure, like they build rockets, they build different, they have ideas for that kind of stuff. So if anybody is interested, there's also that option. There's the association for LGBT students, Poliedro. They organize nice parties and events for people from this community to connect. Yeah, a lot of options. Oh, Polianimali, for example, every summer there's at least one party organized by them on Piazza Leonardo on the main campus. So there are a lot of options. If anybody is keen on, sorry, I would forget. There's also a very nice option for let's say people from my course when you struggle with particular subjects, for example, for exam, there are a lot of options for kind of co-learning with the other students. For example, if you pass your exam with a very high grade, you can become a tutor for the others, and let's say there are spontaneous co-learning classes where you can meet your peers and just study for particular subjects together. That's also very helpful and very nice.
I'm very happy and satisfied with the, we could say, club and society options in Polytechnic. I think, as you heard from the other, there's really a club for anything, either sports. So if you want to, if you want more, fun things or practical activity, but there's also very high-edge projects like this. I mean, even very ambitious design projects, which not only not only for design, but also engineering stuff like sailing boats and really robots and whatever, computing. So really, you can actually choose a societal club also depending on what you're looking for, whether it's something we could say softer like sports, non-competitive sports, or you can have clubbing, for parties and whatever. You can have even, as I said, very high quality projects like where you're sometimes required to have some kind of competencies just to give a contribution for a big design project. And if you're interested in my course, also in a medical school that is affiliated with the Politecnico, there's many societies which do some volunteering actions, which are kind of global, have a very wide reach impact. Like I'm part of a society which is called Mission Brain, which is basically dedicated to global neurosurgery. So the members basically students and graduates and even neurosurgeons. Basically, they try to promote the spread of neurosurgical care around the world, which doesn't mean just giving the care and the medicines, whatever, the surgeries, but also education and getting ready for the work environment in the future years. But there's also societies for all kinds of medical fields, whether it's neurology, gastroenterology, even musicals. Really, like, I was surprised by how many options you have, which is kind of unique in Italy. So
Yeah, to add all of this, because I think everyone spoke about the clubs and the societies, maybe I can say a little about career days. We have like career service page, for example, which is very useful, I think, and it's a really good thing that I think like Polyme is doing. You have a website of where you can find jobs or traineeships, like internships. And also we have career day, which is really close. It's like next week for architecture. I'm not sure if it's the same for every department. I don't think so, but on the 11th, we're going to have the architecture career day, which many companies are coming and you can go and meet them. So I think Polyme enables us to have a wide network for the future too. You can go and meet these companies. Maybe you can even find like a job option or internship when you can meet face to face with them. Yeah, I think that's really useful too.
Yes, thank you. And thanks, Bastian, for the add-on about career days. Okay, so what is accommodation like at your university? I think Antonio, you mentioned that you stay at home, but like in general, what is it like? Is it easy to find? And what has been your experience with that? So Antonio, you can start.
Okay, Milano is a city that is full of students because we have at least 3 or 4 big universities. So it can be not very easy to find an accommodation. Also, if you don't want to spend a lot of money. Rooms are around 700 euros. This is the average, 700 euros per month, all around the city. I said 700 euros because I have some friends that are staying in some accommodation around the city, and on average, they told me that this is the average expense. But if you want to spend less, you can sign a contract for an accommodation at university residencies, even if there is no space for everyone. So I think that they give the accommodation to the students who maybe are less lucky than others, in the sense that maybe they have financial problems or they come from countries that are not as lucky as our country. And also they give financial help to students with outstanding academic records. So if you're very good at your school, at your high school, and or if you have some financial problem, usually the Politecnico is able to help you. But in general, the average expense for a monthly accommodation is 700 euros.
Yeah, I think that Antonio described very well the two options that we have. It's either the Polytechnical accommodation or the private accommodation. In the terms of the Polytechnical accommodation, I would add that yeah, that the application is very tough. Like there are a lot of people applying, and usually when there's a date where you can start applying for your room, there are also like different types of rooms: a single room, a room with a roommate. The price also varies like depending on that. But when the day comes when you need to apply for the room, it's like few minutes and all the options are gone. So you need to be usually very, very quick and have a good internet connection to click on the right time. There's also one drawback, I'd say, and I would like to warn everybody that when you're applying for your first year, the entry exam, usually, I'm not sure about engineering, but for architecture, it's usually the end of July every year. But for the dorm, if you're keen on having the room in a dorm, you need to apply around May, April, let's say, more or less right now. And you pay the first installment. And in case if you don't get in July, the installment is just there. You don't get it back. So unfortunately, this is that may be a little bit problematic. But for the subsequent years, when you know that you're going to start the next year from September, it's usually a good option to know beforehand. For example, in spring, you know that in September you're moving into your room and the room is waiting for you and nobody is taking it away from you. So this is the option about the dorms. I have a lot of friends who live in dorms and they say that the conditions are very decent and the fee is actually very worth it. Every year, you can also apply for the scholarship depending on the points that you get on your course to apply for the reduction of the fee for both the university fees and also the installment for the dorm. So it also can be reduced from the price that you get on the website. And the second option is that there is the option that I chose personally. You can find a room or you can find a flat depending on the budget that you want to spend on your rent. For example, I live in a flat with two flatmates. This is my third year here, and they're very interesting people. They're rotating. This is my third year, but like on the first year, I was living with Italians, so I had the chance to practice my language and share my experience with them. And I had a girl from Thailand. It's only for girls. I had a girl from Thailand. I have a girl from Bosnia, from Belarus. Different people, interesting people. So I think that's also like this enhances my student experience. The fact that I live with international people in actually one flat, so you can hang out here and you can have your privacy in your private room, or if you want to have flatmates, you have flatmates. That depends on your personal choices. But the options are available all around Milan, and that depends on you.
Okay, so I think most have been said about the accommodation. I'll try to be quick in giving another option, which I think has not been mentioned yet. So as I said, there is also, of course, you can look for a flat. You can look at single or shared. Of course, if you share, it's way simpler. You can look through agencies or Facebook. I mean, all kind of platforms are fine. Just be careful with scammers, which is also it's kind of a thing also in Italy. But yes, there are usually group chats that you can join at the beginning from Facebook. Typically are Polytechnical students, so that will be kind of, it shouldn't be too scammy in a way. But there is another option which probably maybe is not so much common among international students because they're not so well sponsored probably nowadays. But there's many student houses which are not directly run by Politecnico, but are run by other societies, which could be they're called collegi in general, and there is a couple which I think you can some of them are already indicated in the link of the Politecnico website. But basically, I live, for example, in Collegio di Milano, which is an inter-university student house. So there's people from Politecnico, from Bocconi, statale, so all kinds of universities. So this is not directly run from the university. It's not directly, you don't apply through the same process, but it's still a viable option, which I would say in terms of price is not, it's comparable, and there's also many scholarship opportunities. So
For me, I chose the option to live alone, which it was my personal like preference. I wanted to live alone, but it was really hard to find a house, especially like for me, my experience was hard because I was from like coming from Turkey and they were asking for some documents and they were confused about the currency, like exchanging the money. So I would suggest that if whether like which option they choose, they should plan it away before. They shouldn't wait until they come here because the options are becoming less and less every day. The like housing market, the real agencies, like they're all over the place and it runs out very quickly. So I would suggest that they should plan it away beforehand, at least like as my like the people on the call said that they should maybe join some channels, some groups that they can talk to. And for the price range, I would say it depends. Like Milan is a bit tricky on that, so they should be aware of that too. It depends on the size that you want. Like, is it going to be one bedroom, two bedroom, the location, the closeness to the transportation, and sometimes even if it's not worth the money that they say, they ask for more. So they should be really on the hook for that. They should know what they are renting or what they're looking for. That's it.
Great, thank you guys. And Bertrand, coming back to you, I have a question just for you because you said that you did 3 years in Turkey for university before you came here. So I was just wondering, how does like Politecnico di Milano differ to like your experience that you had in Turkish university?
I think Milan is more like studying architecture. For studying architecture, I would say, is what you are learning, you see it in real life. So you have the chance to like ability to convert what you learn into real life. For example, in Turkey, the professors and the like education quality, it was lower than here, at least because you get to experience with people that is in the industry for many years and you have this like career days, the even like the buildings, like for example when we went to see Parma, the site visit, even if it's such a small place and far from the city center, it was amazing how they kept the history of the buildings, how they kept the, like preserved the buildings. So it was great to see how it was in coherence what we were learning. Yeah, and I'm like for me, I'm really glad that I chose here and switched my school. And I think it's really important that you get out of your home country or at least like your home city, I would say, because it enables you to become your own person, not just because architecture, studying your field. I think it's more about focusing on yourself, finding yourself, and learning so many more things. It's about survival, I would say, and it's a good opportunity.
Great, thank you. I think I can relate to that a bit. Like when I study geography in London, like I can see it actually happening in real life. So it's really nice. So yeah, I get that. Okay, final question since we're running out of time, for everyone. Do you think your university has prepared you for real world work? If you've had real world work experience, like does it compare? Antonio.
Actually, I've never worked as a chemical engineer, but I think that problems we solve at the university level are very similar to the ones that are then industrially solved. So also our master thesis is based on industrial research. So we can either research on topics more related on an academic environment, but at the same time, the academic research is financed by some industries. So every problem we solve is because someone needs the problem to be solved. So I've never worked, as I said before, as a chemical engineer, but I think that this university is practically oriented. So I would say that the theoretical part is necessary, but it's not the main focus. Okay, so there are some courses that are very theoretical, but they are useful for other courses that are very practical. This is one of the things that I appreciated most about this university.
I'd say that because the university is very practically oriented and you have different studios, as I mentioned before, on every studio, the atmosphere is different, the professor is different, the group that you work in is different. And I think that's a very good start and a very good background for what's going to happen in the actual life, in actual work. I don't have any professional experience in, for example, the architecture office yet, although I'm doing a lot of workshops, a lot of projects outside of university just on my own. But I think that when the day comes that I'm gonna go to the office, I will be much better prepared because the skills is what is important the most, and you learn the skills also at university and outside of the university. But what the university is preparing me the most, I think, is the social factor, the atmosphere, and let's say the dynamics that works in the office is actually very similar to the dynamics that we have on the studio, the relation between the professor and you, like the boss and you, your group, your team of architects who are working with you. Some of them are better in, I don't know, construction. Some of them are better designers. So you are learning how to find yourself in this kind of dynamics. And I think that's what's going to be relevant in the actual life. So skills that you gain at university and on your own, the things that you can do, the programs that you can operate, the design skills that you have, the amount of ideas and references that you get during university, and the social factor. For me, they're like the two most important parts that I learned here and I'm going to use in the professional life.
I'm also very satisfied from both schools that I attend in terms of professional orientation, in a sense. So basically, at the end of my course, I can decide either to be a doctor or to, work as an engineer in some kind of companies, etc. So all the traineeship courses that are, prepared throughout the 6 years that I of the degree, I think really give you the real perspective, because you are actually at work. I mean, 100%. You are shadowing people that do that every day. So in a sense, I don't expect it to be that much different when I will be graduated. In terms of knowledge, as we said, I mean, it's very high quality teaching. So I think yes, I'm very satisfied with the work orientation.
For me, I think the most like vivid thing that I learned from studying here is the group work. It's like in every group work, it's this juxtaposition of different people that it's like, black and white. Like someone is too stubborn, someone is too like okay to everything, and you get to see that because in work life in architecture you're 100% gonna study with people that you will not be on good terms or that your ideas are not coherent. So we get to see that in school with so many design studios, so many group works, even in writings. So it was a good understanding of how to communicate better. But other than that, I would say it starts with you about how you evaluate yourself, how you like build up yourself in university. Like you can search for traineeships. For example, I did one traineeship and I'm gonna do another one. One of them was on the construction site, which is a different field. Like you can go on to that. But when I did that, I was like, okay, I don't want to be on the construction sites, but I learned so much from it. And I could have applied on my like building technology studio. So I think you have to experience with yourself by doing internship or talking with people with networks. So you have to prepare yourself after university because you mostly get the theoretical parts, and then you have to see it. Now, for example, I'm going to do an internship in yacht design, which I'm really curious about, but maybe after I do it, maybe I don't want to do it. So I think everyone has to experience by themselves by getting into so many things and seeing by themselves.
Great, thanks guys, and thank you so much for your answers. Unfortunately, we are at the end of our time together, but thank you so much to the panelists for spending time with us today and giving us some wonderful insight into Politecnico di Milano. I certainly learned a lot, and I think you guys have done a really good job at providing some really good information that can guide future decision making for anyone else watching this in the future. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. If anyone is watching and need any help with like university and career guidance, you can check out our website and Instagram. But other than that, thank you so much once again and have a great rest of the day.